Welcome back to the fourth of 5 matches we are going to face today. I'm your host, Brimstone. Of course, I'm with Intero, who needs no introduction, and CDAPS, who also, in my opinion, needs no introduction. But here we are going into that fourth match. It is Heist taking on Aqualix. We'll start with the side of Heist, Parker. This roster needs something.
They didn't have a good day yesterday at all. The roster, by the way, if you don't know them, is Fraction, Hitman, Med, Panic, and Jolt. But the only player who really stood out to me was Hitman, and obviously we'll see that when it comes up. But good God, it was not a really good outing. The player to break a positive rating over 1 was Hitman. The rest of the team had a combined 12 kills, if my numbers are correct. 13 kills, 10 for Hitman. Fraction only a single kill. That's not ideal at all. Team, you can't have one person needs to show up today. If he doesn't, the team might be doomed.
Aqualix, on the flip side, they were 1-0 yesterday. They had a good first day. They started off the day for us, did they not, Connor?
Yes, they did. They looked pretty good.
Yeah, against Gaming Gladiators, who just got their win.
Yeah, they made Game Gladiators look painfully mid. In Psychosis, he was looking pretty dang good. 12-6, really shutting up a lot of the hate that Psychosis sometimes gets. And another player, Slimy Nick, came out of seemingly nowhere. It was a joy to watch, as well as Rice, who had some question marks about him. The Gasher system, it wasn't quite as much as what we expected. We expected the full court press. It was like a 75% court press. At least had some semblance of control and restraint shown, which was nice to see, that this roster can still get aggressive, but sometimes uses their brains, but especially finally uses their drones. They were droning things. They were moving around the map with purpose, and it was really hard for the Game Gladiators to get under control.
The name of the game in Challenger League is growth, and we definitely saw that out of the side of the Aqualix team. Parker, a lot of growth needs to happen for Hitmen. You cannot just have one guy going above 1.
Well, I mean, the rest of the team needs to come together. A name, the Heist, is perfectly representative of what this team is and how they came together. So when you need to gel better, I'm sorry, Braction, not that I want to shine a spotlight on him in particular, but a single kill, that's not good enough at this level. You need everybody pulling their own weight, especially in the early days. Try and keep those standings close.
And Connor, you saw it firsthand. It was lackluster, to say the best.
Yeah, there's a copy pasta that people like to spam of, oh my gosh, the Heist are fantastic. All they need to do is worry and fix their executes, their defensive roams, their entry game, their plant spots, their smoke usage, their flashbang burn, crosshair placement, movement, all that stuff. And that's pretty much exactly what needs to happen. This is a moment for the Heist where they just need to completely forget that they played yesterday. You have 2 new players like Med and Jolt coming in. This was their welcome to the league moment. They got rocked, they got knocked on their butts, and they have to come back licking their wounds and hopefully have them heal just a little bit so they can bounce back.
Yeah, it's hard to pin down what went wrong when a lot of things were. Hopefully they can just chip away at that. Aqualix, though, as we alluded, Connor, they did look pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, and the main thing was the map control that they were either able to hold on the defensive side or gain on their attacking side was absolutely massive. And on a map such as Clubhouse, they were also able to just kind of get a pick here and there and then have everything just steamroll over and over again. So much momentum, and their conversion rate was really high with the early round presence that we saw. And hopefully, in this case, with the Heist, who you can arguably, I don't even want to say arguably, on paper, you know, bar for bar, toe for toe, pound for pound for Aqualix, they have more talent on their roster. If they're able to just simplify the game down, let it boil to just gunfights and just rely on that mechanical skill, I think that they take this one easily.
Well, because of all of that, you could argue, Parker, that they have the pick of the litter when it comes to the map veto.
You have, and I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but again, you've got these 3 new maps. 2 of them are right away. Theme Park and Border jettisoned out of the map veto. One of the newer maps, actually the newest map before the map change came in Bank, also gone. I wonder if we're barreling towards another potential Oregon or even a Clubhouse between these teams as the veto continues to roll out. Skyscraper has been banned a deceptively later time. Okay, well, you're keep making this point. Chef, you still got Cafe up, you still got Clubhouse, you've still got Oregon, but Cafe is immediately gone. So it definitely seems like we're gonna have one of these safer maps. I don't know if we'll go to Villa again, but it's actually still on the board as a coin toss between it and Clubhouse. And we're gonna go to Villa for the second time in a row. I hope you enjoy Italy, because packing our bags and we're getting on a plane, we're going right back there.
Connor, I don't think that we will complain at this one.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have wanted to watch the Heist on Clubhouse back-to-back times. Maybe we could have seen some direct growth, and that would be nice, but it seems like they failed on a fundamental level to understand the basics of that map, where they failed at every level, and hopefully they can apply a little bit more free-flowing and a little bit less structure to this map of Villa. But for also what I've heard, Aqualix is kind of nasty on this map, so...
I don't want to be too harsh, but as we move into our predictions, I have to imagine that most of us, if not all of us, are going the way of Aqualix. And I think this is dual part, Parker. You've got a team that is definitely struggling and a team that looks like they have it together. And I think when you light that wick at both ends, the result comes down to one choice.
A better team, I think. I know team. It seems like Aqualix as a unit is much better off right now than Heist are. Especially yesterday. The Gaming Gladiators that showed up yesterday is not the same team that showed up today. We know that. We saw that in the matchup they had. Yet yesterday on Clubhouse, yesterday on their matchup, Aqualix seemed to handle them actually quite well. So if that same team shows up against the Heist, then I honestly do think that this one can be over pretty quickly. But don't discredit the fact that even though I think that Aqualix is going to win, in fact, we all think that Aqualix will win, potential here for this to be a very good matchup between these two teams.
Would you argue, Connor, that to win this, they would have to pull off the Heist of the century?
I don't think that this game is in control of the Heist. I don't think that they steal this game. I think that Aqualix hand it to them if they somehow come out on top.
Mm-hmm. It would take a lot to take it, but we want to move into the game now. It's going to be the Heist. They are taking Aqualix to Villa. Fellow Lynx, take it away.
I'm gonna level with you guys. We're not gonna see the Mona Lisa in this game. We're not gonna see the Sistine Chapel. We're not gonna see artistic brilliance. It's AQ versus the Heist. We're gonna see a slugfest. Maybe not a close one. Could be one-sided. But John, this is coming down to gunfights. That's just the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, and also setting up to be in the right place to take those gunfights, which can be a bit of a problem as well that we might run into constantly. I think it's going to be a lot of basics that just are not there at given moments, and if that never changes, of course, then it's going to be a very early match, potentially ended. And yeah, although we've got a lot of unanimous votes wrong in the past, I think this might be more of a solid figure that will stand. I think there is a good chance Aqualix are going to take this bag.
Well, to be fair, I also felt like Aerial Arise was a pretty solid bet, and then that was wrong. Though it did
Right.
come down to overtime, so like there's a little bit of an asterisk there, but I want to be honest. I think ATK, after their close games yesterday, a little more likely to beat Aerial Arise than the Heist is likely to beat AQ going into this game, especially after their weak performance yesterday. So hopefully, maybe we'll see an improvement here on Villa as well, which, if you're looking at these two teams, obviously Connor mentioned that AQ are allegedly nasty on Villa, at least behind the scenes. This is a more complex map than Clubhouse is, and if the Heist struggled with the fundamentals on Clubhouse, unless they've practiced it a bunch, a more complex map like Villa with a lot more layers to it, that's not a good read. Not a good read in terms of how this might go.
I get to go take a look at the bans, see if they're actually default, if we're going to see a couple of targets perhaps. Not too sure if we're going to really have anything too fancy be thrown at us. Like you said, this is not going to be an artistic piece of work here tonight. It is just going to be the Heist versus Aqualix. And yeah, the first ban being Thatcher, not too shocking, not too fancy, not too brilliant.
But effective. We can't say that. Getting those EMP grenades off the board, its presence will certainly be felt. Same can be said for the Hibana on both Clubhouse for yesterday and Villa today. Just a very strong hard breacher that you don't necessarily want to deal with. For the defense, I imagine if we're keeping things simple, Take that mirror off the board. Get rid of it. Only change here, I could see Aqualix banning something else in place of the Valkyrie if they want to allow players like Psychosis to get aggressive on the defense, use that intel to their advantage, and they will do so. They will instead ban out the Wamai. That does two things. Gives them the Valk, but also makes Flores a common operator and a common ban on Villa, not only in play, but also that much more effective.
And funny enough, every time we tried assuming there would be a Wamai, we were never correct. We've kept mentioning this, especially you, Carter, but finally, we're seeing him back in the banning phase, so that is always nice. One thing to note as well, still having the Flores on the board, that could allow for even easier choke points to be removed. That shield play could be almost non-existent if that is an option. So far, though, for the Heist, they're not opting for that, but what they are bringing out currently is Med on the Capital. Hopefully, he does not get repicked, and this point does not become null, but not having to worry about the OMI and having a lot of, again, key positions to be held with just general, players, it could be pretty easy just to have those asphyxiating bolts just be tossed out at a given moment and then remove that vital part of the map control out of the hands of Aqualix, and that could actually give the Heist a lot of key positions to just no longer have to worry about, and then they could focus on one prime direction to have a much easier time, at least on their attacking side, if they keep the cap.
Unintended consequences of your bans sometimes. Perhaps the Capital could be listed among them for Aqualix, depending on how this ends up going. Psychosis finding a lot more difficult on main stairs, akin to what you were mentioning. I'll have to see how this ends up panning out. Aqualix not wasting any time in putting the Valkyrie in their lineup, wanting to use those black eye cameras. Both aggressive right now, being in trophy statuary, but probably for the first minute. Then, of course, playing further back and still using that intel to their advantage. Seems like a full clear for the Heist right now, as just like we saw a few times last game, 4 players all outside of master bedroom. Probably safe to say they're going in bedroom.
Well, we would like to think that, of course. No one late rotating in the study, perhaps. Yeah, no, it will be a confirmation. It looks like for the Heist, they are going to have to deal with some sort of slight extension. We do have Slime actually playing in the middle of Statuary, a couple reinforcements, and even an ADS expended in that direction. And Aether is not that far behind either, holding out near Astronomy. So they have a lot of opportunity here in this first minute. And in fact, one of those 2 players that I actually mentioned, Aether, gets the opening double pick as a Nitro Cell is soon to fall after that MPX kill. And already, it's a quick fallback and quick 2K for Aqualix.
That is more successful than you normally expect those kind of early presence and trophy statuary plays to go. Normally, you play there for about 45 seconds to a minute and then leave. And the win is that you didn't die to a nade sent in through Brickstore. Getting 1 kill... yeah, that's pretty cool. Getting 2 kills onto the Lion and the Yana. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good, in fact, for what is normally just a pretty quick retreat on the defense. We were talking about this potential utility brought by the Heist, mainly the Capital bolts that they still have. He's got some hard breach charges as well, so that's the operator you're going to want to keep alive going forward. But after losing that early on and still having players playing aggressive at 90... yeah, this is probably going to be the first round Aqualix, unless they start throwing these engagements.
One problem, though, being with those Capital bolts not getting caught by ADSs is now there's really no actual burn to get rid of those ADSs. These grenades, unless only used for 90, they're basically going to be non-existent, and now you're heavily relying on mostly just the gun skill. And again, the Capital asphyxiating and smoke bolts on the board, and that's about it. And with the Heist still just kind of stalling, waiting for that perfect moment to strike, that's just giving more room for Aqualix to perfectly set themselves up as well to counteract this mostly skull attempt by the Heist.
Panic firing at nothing right now, though Psychosis is close around the corner from that window. Playing on the hatch right now. Easy opportunity for escape, but he sends a nade in that actually goes a little too far. Might have survived that. A nade, at the same time that one player from the Heist sent theirs also finds Gasher the smoke, so a very big pick, but still mostly looking up Aqualix at the moment. Panic finally vaults in the study window, but Psycho, moving back to his position, up those main stairs, finds the very player who took his spot. And now Med, the Capital that we highlighted, doesn't really have any utility left or any opportunity to use it. If he did, he's just got to try to clutch a 1v4, and Rice really puts an end to that, more than anything even gets going.
Now, don't get me wrong. They lost any pressure in study, but for the Heist, still not wanting to have Med play off of the Capital bolt he just expended? Definitely a little odd. And even having that knowledge of knowing that, okay, you don't have an attacker in study balcony anymore, why not just put an asphyxiating bolt on that study door so nobody can wide swing you and you can go for a plant. I thought that was the idea by Med, but I guess he changed his mind and needed to go 90 where there was really nothing to help him out to be in a good position to win the gunfights that were desperately required by the Heist against the Aqualix to deny them of that first round. But with that not happening, it's going to be a very straightforward round win by Aqualix because they got away with a lot in the beginning of the round and just had enough pressure for the end game to completely shut out the Heist.
That'll be the first thing we need to see fixed by the Heist, is just a little bit more coherent of an early round. Not entirely sure if it was a misdrone on Afer or if Afer got aggressive, took a fight, and that's where things got messed up for the Heist. But definitely something that, doesn't result in two of their bodies dying right as they enter the building would certainly be an improvement going into this round, even if it's just one body falling on the entry. Might not be desirable, but it would at least be something better than what we saw before. We will see Afer playing at least off the site this time, aided by those black eye cameras and that C4. Psychosis might be a different partner in crime this go around, but the Heist, if they choose to clear over on that area, they'll have to deal with them. But again, John, it's bedroom. It's bedroom all the way through.
I don't know if you mentioned this, Carter, but maybe if we had somebody for the cutoff, perhaps, that could help alleviate some of that roam game, because we just saw a multiple group of people for the Heist just running at Afer and just getting completely gunned down. And then when he went for the fallback, there was nobody in sight to try to at least get that refrag. He got away scot-free, and honestly, he didn't even die. So he was very productive on the roam game and also was still a bit of a force to be reckoned with later in the round as well. If we see that better team cohesion by the Heist, they should have an easier time clearing out the map, already getting some control inside of kitchen and dining room. That is something nice to have in their pocket, but they are taking a lot of time, which could honestly be a huge problem moving forward in the round, especially since they still need to deal with this electro claw on the triple wall.
Well, the first nade goes out, and it's not successful, unfortunately. Slime goes for the peak, and Braxton falls 2 rounds in a row now as the first one taken off the board for the Heist. And now he sent up that nade, missed it. Now he dies pretty soon after. The burden is now wholly on Hitman and Panic, who still have 4 nades between them to try to take those electro claws off of that triple panel if they want to continue with this direct take that they are still gunning for. They also have plenty of nades to deal with the astronomy players as well. With that early loss, the Heist are in danger of making the same mistake they did last time, or suffering the same thing, which is getting stalled very early on.
Well, for the Heist, they had to swallow their pride and more or less move most of their player base up to this top floor. Panic will at least find something with that grenade kill onto Slime, but still, you're kind of at a wall once again here for the Heist, not having that middle floor presence gone, and also not having the triple wall opened up just yet either is going to lead to, again, major funnels here for the Heist. And Aqualix, once again, they've got the util to completely stop that funnel from being a problem and more or less having a really good chance of winning a second round in a row.
And if a few of you Heist fans are still hoping that they can tip the scales and win it out, there is a chance, but there's only one drone left. There is one drone on the Heist roster right now. They just have to take these gunfights or hope the utility can do the talking, and right now, it's certainly not. Jolt, I suppose, goes for a peek inside of Astro, falls to the Jaeger, then Gasher tries to hit him with the 1-2, tries to drop down below, but ends up giving his life away to Hitman. So that's free astronomy control for the Heist, and those are the kinds of engagements I was worried about, the kinds that even might succeed for Aqualix, but still give them a moment to strike, and that's exactly what happens. Afer with a beautiful flank gets a 2-piece with that MPX, and now he just has to wait out the remaining 9 seconds as Psychosis can continue relaying intel on Med's position to the Valkyrie. He'll start putting the bomb down, and this is where Afer needs to strike that small window where Med is on the plant, but the ace, he falls off. He cedes the round to Aqualix, and it's 2-0 for the defense.
And I'm not too sure if the Heist actually communicated with their teammate that we actually had we had Rice downed on the Kite. I'm not too sure if that was given because we saw the ace in a very vulnerable position and almost uncomfortable of trying to go for that plant, even though he didn't have a full understanding as to how exactly the Valkyrie was going to push in those last couple of moments. So maybe just that small amount of miscommunication, it just went kind of a big way there for the Heist to end up losing out on that second round. And also, again, the heavy onset funneling, we saw Aqualix acknowledge that, and they didn't really give away a lot of their defenders to actually stop that funnel from happening. They just backed up a majority of their player base and went for more slightly aggressive angles to hold to, especially having Ankfor go on that late flank in through bedroom / the master hole. and it completely threw a wrench into the machine of the Heist. They had really no idea what just hit them on that final execute.
Lafer so far continuing to be problematic through 2 rounds. Leaving that Valk up against Aqualix, even on previous rosters, was always worrisome. And well, Afer is certainly the same caliber of player as the ones before him who would take up the mantle of that Valkyrie. And in round number 3, going to probably be the same issue, especially now with the Pulse in tandem as well. Afer can field the intel off the site, up above on the 2nd floor, in various spots outside of the site. Rice, with that heartbeat scanner, can focus his efforts to the immediate vicinity within that site, as well as aiding Afer and Slime upstairs if he wants to, using that heartbeat scanner and using that C4. The Heist might have switched to IQ, who can now find the Pulse and those black eye cameras, but there's always the worry that Afer can do damage with it before they can even try to minimize it.
Well, so far, we've got the Heist still stacking up quite heavily. They are actually going to go for a full top floor clear and actually have some players up near study balcony and master bedroom. So I'll have to hold that remark I just made a moment ago, but they still need, of course, be coordinated enough to actually get that information and properly deal with Afer and Psychosis, because they are technically holding a pretty strong crossfire to deny this steady presence. If we have somebody go in through the bottom of main stairs, that could end up alleviating some of that pressure and having someone go the 90 window instead, but it's still going to be this direct push leading the study balcony, which so far, nothing much has been done to stop it, and there goes the crossfire by Afer. He finds one, but at least Hollywood is there to get the refract.
But again, it's a situation where, I mean, Braxton doesn't die, so it's different than the previous rounds, but they lose their most important player, their most valuable player, going off of yesterday, Hitman, because of a missed drone. They just sprint in past main stairs, maybe optimistically and treating it charitably. Hitman was using himself as bait, but it still seems that they didn't drone out Afer, and they lost their Finka, a Gon, a nade, and important adrenal surges to heal, all because they weren't that useful with their utility. Panic also, ironically enough, the IQ falls to Pulse with a C4. 2 electronic gadgets end up being the undoing for the very operator meant to counter it, and the Heist 3 rounds in a row now are struggling to make ground.
Psychosis as well, getting away scot-free from that roam over in towards Aviator and fully moving around back to help out the rest of his teammates in this last minute. Pretty impressive rotation, but not having Braxton try to actually really punish him all that much, and having to go for more of a passive position, playing for this vertical, definitely spells worry once again in my mind, as the Heist really don't have all that much going for them besides his vertical play, but thankfully Braxton is able to utilize it to now equalize.
Good kill on the smoke as well, so Braxton doing what the Heist has been struggling to do these past couple rounds, and creating openings with which, or by which, able to not only enter the site, but also enter the round in hopefully a way that ends up in a victory at the end of the path. With those Inox as well, he can find one of the remaining players not on the site, but one who dropped down below. Rice went for not necessarily a flank, but playing for the retake potentially, as that's what it's looking like Aqualix are doing. Everyone rotating outside of the site with 15 seconds left. 2 players can play down below, while Psychosis retakes up above. Rice suffers a lot of damage in this pursuit, so he's got to hold out for just a little bit longer, but Jolt nails him to a post, moving in through Memorial as Med goes for the flank. Oh, Psycho's watching it. It's perfect. 1 tap. That's the round gone for the Heist. And all because Psycho retakes upstairs. Beautiful play by the Legion, and 3 rounds in a row for AQ.
And unfortunately, Braxton, having too much to worry about on that top floor, could not deny both the Pulse and also the Legion of Psychosis to completely reclaim that top floor and actually utilize the vertical play against the opposition of the Heist. And not having the Nomad, funny enough, for that major flank watch ended up spelling disaster, as they just got completely outplayed there by Aqualix. 3 in a row as they begin to head back into Aviator and games, and it's that same problem we were harping about moving into this matchup before it even began, Carter. That basic team play and coordination just doesn't feel there completely by the Heist, and they are still missing out on some major steps to this overall equation of getting a round win in the board, which is exactly why Aqualix is doing so well against them right now in this first half.
Creating the new variable being the timeout, definitely a good start to trying to rebound this. You've actually had, I will say, even if they might not have resulted in wins, I think the timeout usage by a lot of the teams today has actually been very well placed. I don't feel like a timeout has ever been called too late or called too early. I always feel like even going the Outlast game, the Karn & Co game before that, feel like they've all been placed very well throughout each one. So again, maybe the Heist here, hopefully, able to get a round back after this. We know that Aqualix, and they surely know that Aqualix, they're going to go back to Aviator Games. They're not going down to Living Room. They can set up a plan for how they want to take this attack, what they can do differently. They went for the full clear last time, and they were stopped at their first step through the door. Maybe this time, it's refocusing over towards main stairs, taking advantage of the lack of a Wamai. Maybe that's the play. We'll have to see what the Heist go for.
Well, based on their composition, I would hope they would maybe still try to change something up. I mean, they've got the same basic lineup, but with Braction on the Jackal, potentially not. They might still want to go for that Master Clear because they're expecting a heavy roam extension near Statuary, near Trophy Room, and instead of wanting to potentially not have that as a challenge in the late round, they want to actually deal with that at the very beginning. But they struggle with even clearing out Aether. And he wasn't even that big of a problem. He was basically able to be isolated if they had somebody go Astro Stairs and Master Door or Master Bathroom. Jesus, I've made that mistake 3 times. Master Bathroom from the bedroom, of course, to get that crossfire and tag team established. And if that was done, we wouldn't have had a multi-kill had by Aether, and then if we had the cutoff as well, he would have died early on. But no, none of that proper pressure was done by the Heist, and it led them to basically an early defeat because they never had a moment or an opportunity to redeem themselves after losing 2 early deaths, basically, off the bat from Aether.
Well, we see a couple changes that initially maybe indicated that they'd be going for main stairs, movement away from the Capital, movement towards the Flores, importantly, but also the nail in the coffin for kind of solidifying they're going for main stairs. Braction switches from the Jackal to the Ana. Not the Ana, just away from the Jackal. That operator's taken off the board. They are not going for that full clear. So they will turn their attention towards main stairs. There is still the issue, of course, of droning. Slime is already getting not aggressive. Sure, he's by that window, but he's mainly just hurting the Heist drone economy right now. Taking one down on the entry. There's another just below the closet inside of Living Room that could spot him, and it's not the end of him, actually. It's Gasher falling to a nade, and Psycho getting aggressive on these main stairs. Hitman falls, but there's Braction able to trade it out, so maybe a nice play by Psycho, but it ends up costing both his life and in compounding with the smoke. Yeah, that was bad enough, but now Aether's caught flanking through Living Room. It's complete pandemonium in the first minute, 15 seconds. It's still Heist retaining the lead, though.
Not too sure if they're aware of Rice's position. Well, they definitely are now as Panic gets in an altercation between him and the Mute, but at least they still have the man advantage, the Heist. All they got to do now is just make sure they do not lose this pressure in main. Slime getting rather aggressive in a make-or-break position, and it's caught on the reload. Med as well gets active as Rice will fall, and the Heist actually get around in the book, and I've got to commend them. They didn't go for the exact same strat that they did last time against that AV defense. They changed things up completely, and it really paid dividends, especially against the hyper-aggression we saw by Aqualix.
It was a very oddly paced round, I have to say. We start seeing that pressure over on main stairs. Gasher falls very quick. Excellent nade placement by the Heist. And then we see Psycho getting aggressive. Gets that first kill. Okay, he's got to go behind the shield. Oh, no! Braction's there. But oh, no. You thought that was bad. Now Aether's coming up from behind, and he just swings around and kills him as well. Braction was doing the most on that push up main stairs, and he got 3 kills all within that area. Of course, you all saw that. But that just shouldn't happen. Like, at all. In any way, place, time, what have you. And somehow it happened, and that was pretty much the round at that point, even with Aqualix answering back with a couple kills. They got the most important piece of map control for their take in the first minute, taking down 3 bodies as a result, and retaining the man advantage by the end. You can't have a more successful early round, and Aqualix just seemed to collapse after that.
It seems like that round, Aqualix were just overconfident that they would get that round in the books, no matter what they tried attempting, but it was just, at that point, too much of a blunder to be straight up running at the Heist. They still have people that can shoot back. They're able to win those gunfights, of course, if you're willing to put themselves in the advantageous position. So I think that was a good humbling round for Aqualix, and now they're going to not be as aggressive. They're still going to want to contend this map control, not give it up for free, don't get me wrong, but they aren't going to be sprinting at people like Braction who have their gun at the ready and are completely willing to go and kill somebody off the bat to give the Heist a very winnable position so early in this round.
Hitman already moving very quickly into kitchen and dining room, likely a pre-placed, giving him that information that, hey, this is clear, nobody's moved in during the prep phase or the early action phase, just get on in, take that map control, we don't need to worry about it. Panic will take the mantle of Jackal from Braction, who played it through the first couple rounds, but Slime, looking like he won't play aggressive, but might catch the Jackal off guard. Never mind, he instead walks all the way back up Astronomy stairs, especially once he's spotted by Panic with those eye knocks, so won't see any aggressive play by the Melusi there. For right now, the Heist have set up their beachhead. They've taken down below, and Aqualix are pretty accepting of that. Not looking to try and contest it for right now.
Still trying to hold at least that point for a little while. Then, of course, having a fallback because their position is known via the Inox scanner. Still having a pretty strong roam game, though. Afer is not that far behind near the lower red hallway. Might have to deal with Hitman in a few short moments, though, as he's actually playing for that rotation cutoff for the time being. But the Heist just remaining very methodical about their approach, but it pays off. Panic is able to catch out Slime, and now a second one over swings. Gadger just walks into the crossfire, and now the Heist have a 5-on-3 lead and have full control of Astro as well.
So far, now 2 Heist rounds starting off good because one guy sends it up a stairwell or makes his presence known on a stairwell, as Braxton got his kills at the bottom of it last round. But this time, Panic waltzes right up, gets 2 kills for his troubles. Now Braxton gets in on the fun within the very same position that Panic got his 2-piece, and we're left with at least one remaining player from the previous round, Rice in the 2v5, feeling all too familiar pressure at this moment as bullets start raining toward his way. He's on low HP as well. Afer sacrifices himself for a C4 kill, but that's a little bit of a rude move to Rice, who's now got a clutch of 1v4 with 1 kill, but he walks right into Hitman's spray, and Heist take their second attacking round in a row.
I mean, once again, the capitalization of being there at the ready with your gun up when people just start running at you and overly swinging. It happened a second time in a row. I'm not too sure why we had 2 people just directly waltz at the Jackal of Panic. We had somebody on Astro, so that's fair. They couldn't get away on those stairs. They were completely set up to die at that point once Master Bathroom was in the hands of the attack. And that lower clear. Finally got it right. You'll love to see it. No more bedroom bathroom curse for me. But having someone try to refrag instantly when they know a crossfire is bound to erupt just does not sit well with me as well. But again, at least the Heists are capitalizing off these mistakes, and they're now able to get a second round on their attack. So you'll love to see that at least.
And if you're the Heist, you'll love to see that Aqualix are going back to Aviator Games. Not only that, they're going back with the same lineup. They've, well, not only had on Aviator Games, but like every other site, really. Afer has always been on Valk. Slime's been on Melusi religiously through this game. Psycho on Jaeger has happened consistently. And it seems like they're going for the same play that they did previously on round number 4. And, well, on round number 1 as well. The Heist will also run back their lineup, foregoing the Jackal, bringing that Flores. So they have the utility to clear out these main stairs. Well, I don't think we'll see it pan out the exact same way as last time, but with the lineup that they have, unless they start losing bodies through the vertical holes, they should be able to clear out main.
Surely that will happen. I would think so. They have a very good lineup once again. I like, though, by Aqualix, they understand how potent the mute could be because we've been seeing a lot of Lion, all of Jackal, and every now and again the Flores as well. So having something that can hard counter all of those gadgets, even the Iona Gemini, because Braxton has been bringing the Iona out a lot to gather a lot of the information, and just have a good gun of the ARX with some grenades to boot as well. It's just a good overall solid pick. So that could potentially slow things down for the Heist, but in general positioning, they have been very fast. Maybe not clearing out every position that they need, but still willing to get their hands dirty is always something nice to see, especially for the attack where you have to be the first person to make that first move a majority of the round. So at least the Heist aren't afraid to try to go rush in and see if they can get away with a potential opening duel.
The Heist will try to use those EE1Ds to solidify some positions for the defense and allow those nades to have a little bit more impact, but 2 are sent up to the floor and 2 go wide. They're hoping the Rotero drones will do some more or better work than the nades. They were hoping for that. Well, those hopes were well placed. The Flores drone destroys the shield on main, but oh no, not another one. We've seen this flank happen once before on Aviator Games, and Afer was promptly swiped, shut down by Braxton. There are 2 players currently all looking towards this position. Even a Gemini replicator sent out to confirm their suspicions that the Valkyrie is in their back line. More intel confirming his position. Hitman will likely go for the pre-fire, but Afer weaves his way further into the belly of Villa. Slime also on red stairs, takes down Braxton, moving in through the middle floor. I think the Heist might be in a tricky situation, getting stuck in the weeds with these roamers, destroying more drones, wasting more time. All that Afer needs to do is live and be a worry in the back of the mind for the Heist.
1 minute and still not fully taking care of this roam game. The cohesion by both Slime and Afer completely tossed the Heist in a position they did not expect to be in right now. back at a disadvantage and not having any time. Not only have they not dealt with the roam presence, Carter, they haven't even cleared through main yet. Psychosis is still sitting here. They'll spot another Rotero drone, but nobody's getting aggressive enough to actually shut this man down. So it's still just a lack of positioning here by the Heist, and now they're even lower in the man count. It's Psychosis was now 3, and that's the final finisher as well. The lack of proper clearage by the side of the Heist will be their final demise, as they really did not get much done besides that slight control in living room.
Yes, that time when the kills don't present themselves, the Heist struggle to find that opening and clear out that main stairs position. Afer also, smart play, doesn't get as aggressive and doesn't commit as much to his flank through a living room. All he does, makes his presence known inside, but pulls a little bit further back. Doesn't send it, doesn't go for the kill, just tries to worry them, and keeps one step ahead of the attack enough to waste more time and allow Nick to make the play and get the kill, and of course enable Psycho's play later on as the Psycho just go for broke up main stairs. Overall, honestly, based on the trend that attack went, a 4-2 half for the Heist is a win. Their first 3 attacks were looking not abysmal, but they were not looking good whatsoever. And sure, they got 2 afterwards, but with how they looked after Aviator games, it looked like those 2 rounds were about all the momentum that they really had. So going on to the defense, they get the benefits, fellow. They get the Valkyrie. They get that intel. And of course, they might have to worry about Aqualix running that Flores, but if they can get aggressive like we know they want to do, based on this lineup and how these players have historically played, Aqualix could very well meet their match on the defense.
Oh, we almost saw the Montaigne being picked here for Aqualix. I was really going to deep dive into that, but no, it'll be taken off of that onto the Iana, a much more common pick. It is very hard to utilize a Montaigne here on Villa. He's very strong in Clubhouse, for example, getting rid of that Raptors control. That's always a good example to bring out a Montaigne for. But having him on a map like Villa, that's another storyline. Maybe to help with the 90 pressure and like maybe main stairs, but you just fall into a lot of weird gray areas, especially when there's like a smoke on the board or even the Tachanka, which are both very viable when defending Aviator. So it's best just to keep that pick of the Iana on the board, but no grenades? Smokes? I didn't even know that Iana could run smokes. I've never seen that in play, Carter.
Yeah, that's new. I've not seen smokes on Iana before. Slime unfortunately falling, by the way, through the holes made in the floor, so getting a little bit ahead of himself with that one. Med will get the opening pick for the Heist. Now they have to move in. While sure they've lost the Twitch, they still have a lot of their important utility. I guess smokes for Psychosis being one of them. Brought them for a reason or maybe an accident. Get to keep him alive. Also have their hard breaching still intact. Right now, just focusing on going for the full clear of that master bedroom side, which of course they've had some trouble on. So going forward, there's Afer down below to make sure that they're not going to get caught off guard by a C4 or anything like that. But this is going to be a very slow round number 7. For AQ, at least.
I wonder if Afer is actually aware he has smoke grenades. He might try to play underneath and just start throwing them out and be like, oh no, this is not a grenade. It's not going to blow up the way I expected it to. Especially since you need to find that sort of refrag here. Aqualix is still down a man because of that great vertical by Med playing in that low region of Villa. And also still need to worry about 90 pressure as well. The pace, it definitely has to be picked up here by Aqualix because they really don't have a lot to their name, and they are still at a disadvantageous position moving in this last minute.
Hoping that the Heist will peek ahead out, give them an opportunity. None presents itself. All the Heist need to do is lay back. They have their C4s. They have their toxic canisters. They have the utility to waste time and the utility to deny plants. Even with Hitman falling in study, it might go to a 4v4. But they still have Panic to apply pressure. And even if Panic falls after that, they still have the tools they need to stop AQ from moving into the site. That is the important part. They have those 3 players, the Valk, the Cade, and the Smoke, to win out these final 20 seconds. Psycho uses his smoke canister to push up long bar. This is the play they need to make this round work. Both him and Rice get shut down in a matter of seconds. At the exact same time, Afer's forced to barrel on in through the smoke, pre-firing as long as he possibly can, but all he gets is a 1-for-1 trade between the Heist, and Braxton rounds out both final kills with 2 sprays from his SMG-11 and narrows the gap by 1 round.
Gotta wonder as well, having the adrenaline surge just pop when we had somebody just walking right through the toxic smokes. Maybe they weren't expecting that util to be popped. but that definitely weakened the position of that Zofia and did force kind of a 1vx situation before it even truly began, I suppose, and that plant was still being attempted by the attacking side of Aqualix. More or less a feel around, though. They've got plenty of time to potentially recover, and now they understand how exactly the Heist want to play on their defense. They like to get hyper aggressive, but then almost immediately try to fall back, so they can just play for that slight advantage in the site, which is not a bad idea at all. It's a very simple way to defend, but it does work a good chunk of the time, especially when you have that utility to boot, like having the smoke, or even in this example, having the Maestro, which is another great way of not only gathering intel, but also denying the plant, because those Evil Eyes, they've got lasers and put in the right position. They could honestly be a living nightmare for Aqualix, especially since they've been trying to utilize a lot of smoke grenades so far in their attacks.
You're wondering what AQ are doing, by the way. Normally what they do is, whereas a lot of teams will just go with the lineup they want to go with and then make changes as necessary, AQ will pick 5 troll operators during the reveal phase, so that way their attacking lineup is hidden, and then they'll go generally with what they want to go for. So that's why you saw the Amaru, the Fuse, the IQ, the Blackbeard, and why you now actually see a normal lineup. You would see real people run in a comp game. So just explaining why that always seems to happen. In case you were curious, that's AQ's thought process. And of course, going forward here, they have the lineup they need. They can go for the full clear if they want, but this is a lineup, you know, the Ace, they got the Fink and the Zofia as well as some flank watch. You could go for really any kind of take you want.
Well, starting out here for Aqualix, it appears that their option will be just trying to go in through study side. If there is an extension in that area, they'll try to deal with it, and then they can work their way with a quick little rotation, heading in through Master, get that triple wall opened up, and then go in for that default kind of play style, heading in through most likely Statuary. But that is going to take a lot of time to end up happening, and the late round rotations, they eventually do happen by Aqualix, but they have been rather silent, at least in their first adaptation, when they were on round number 7, heading in through an Aviator defense. Now moving into Trophy, though, that could definitely be hastened up, especially if they can get this map control down in the books. And it looks like that will be the case, because there was only one potential roamer near Aviator, and they actually just completely fell back if they even were there to begin with.
That's one thing AQ doesn't have to worry about moving forward into the map. That roamer's gone. Of course, they do need to worry about Med down below, who's got that C4. One worry we had with the Heist and other teams throughout the day was letting some of those important roamers slip by unnoticed, and this would certainly be a situation where that could prove problematic. If they don't put some attention towards Med, or at least consider the possibility of him playing down below, you could get a C4. Wow, that was a hell of a trade between Rice and Panic, both one-tapping each other. Stylistic excellence in terms of a trade. But there's that C4, not from Med, this time from Braction instead, rotating down below, and it seems at this point, maybe AQ are just going for broke. We see the nades sent on in, Hitman trapped in a corner around that statue, but the other C4 finally explodes, but it's still AQ on the back foot by the end.
1 minute left here. Plenty of time left to go for that drone, but they don't have any flank watch, I believe, because Psychosis has fallen. A flank is definitely possible here for the Heist, especially since they have all that intel and general denial that's still left on the board to stop a plant from going down. It would just take a simple rotate down and through these little archways, dropping down and through jungle, and you could already have that multifaceted approach heading in for these last 40 seconds, Carter.
Yeah, still a lot of angles you could take this if you want to. Maybe Aether reapproaching this, not trying to go for something linear, sending up one of those nades. Even with 30 seconds remaining, one certainly goes through, and well, the Maestro almost loses his life because of it. Jolt just very narrowly surviving after 2 lobs of those nades from Aether. The third one goes through, but Jolton cuts his head off right as it lands at his feet. He might sacrifice his life to get that kill, but that could give the round to the Heist. A 1v2 for Brack and Med to win out, and all they have to do is wait. With Brack holding around a corner as well, doesn't even reach that point as Med fires some shots over that wall, and we're back to even between Aqualix and the Heist.
One thing to note as well, I mentioned the rotations there by Aqualix. Not only were they rather on the late side, but also it's just been one person trying to go for those rotates. I feel like it is such a gamble to only have your ace player go in and rotate for the master balcony, especially if someone like Panic gets aggressive and goes for that 1-for-1, or even just gets the run out / spawn peek as a success. And in comparison to the Kaid Electro Claw, especially not tricking it, in comparison to Selma's, I would rather just have the Kaid dead in comparison to the Ace, who can really be a game changer, especially if that triple wall gets opened up. That weakens almost every position inside of Statuary, and then that leads basically 2 options for the Heist, really. play inside a trophy room / Astro near that rotate position, maybe go for some top-notch impacts, or you play underneath for a Nitro Cell, and because we had a late rotate on the bottom floor by Aqualix, that most definitely could have been denied if a problem at all.
We'll say, John, I think we expected, of course, an Aqualix win, and I doubt any of us have had our minds changed, but we have a contest between these two teams, something that was sorely missing yesterday for the Heist, and now maybe a chance to even take the lead. They're going down to Kitchen, and they have the benefits, the same ones that Aqualix did on their defense. They've got that Valk, and they have that Pulse combination to defend meeting with, one for off the site, one for on the site, and both with C4s in their pockets to make work either in the early or the late round. We'll see how Aqualix decide to go with this. It doesn't appear they're starting out over on the south side. Not going for study, not going for living room. Both either all rappelling up to bedroom or at least putting some pressure down below. We'll see what they do for right now. Not moving in too quick, but there is a for down below. Whatever it is, they're starting out on this side of the map.
Gathering plenty of information there with the cardiac sensor. So he can now relay that to his teammates. Maybe they can rotate, get extra aggressive like we have seen in the early parts of the round for the Heist. They like to go for that opening duel, and then after that, they'd like to hold those more lackadaisical positions and force Aqualix to make that final move on the round. Aver gets caught at a bad time and is now injured as he tries to hop in through the pantry window with no backup, but we already have Aqualix going in for a rush, and so far, it hasn't paid dividends for him just yet.
Yeah, Psycho needs to pull back. With Afer going down, I get he might have just been trying to catch one off guard, but he put himself in a very risky situation right there, and they're lucky that it's still 5v5, that not only were they able to get that res, but that Psycho didn't lose his life for pushing in that aggressively into Laundry. Everyone from the attack will now pull back outside of the building. They might still take this quick, but they're rethinking all their options and not trying to get too ahead of themselves.
And thankfully, like you mentioned, still at 5v5, but really nothing being accomplished here by Aqualix. Still having that vertical presence for the time being could allow for some sort of plant denial. Like we saw, funny enough, favoring Psychosis and the rest of Aqualix when they were defending this site of Kitchen and Dining. And at least they're able to get master bedroom control. But of course, still having panic on that Aruni is going to be one small issue moving throughout the rest of this top floor. And if never dealt with properly, this could end up leading to a couple of kills favoring the Heist. But nope, that will not happen. He's caught in the fallback at the worst time possible.
And good shot by Psycho, redeeming himself from the very narrow and very close loss of his life early on. That will do a lot for Aqualix, especially with two of their teammates all being on low HP. Sure, Braction is low, but he's still got that C4, and with some vertical plays still in the cards for Aqualix, that could have impact, especially with two players. Might not be vertical, but especially in Laundry as well. AQ will see that wall, the top of that wall in Laundry being opened up, and they know that a C4 could fly through. Hitman will take the head off of Aether as he goes to vault into Bicycle, so the Heist have that little bit of an opening, little bit of breathing room inside of the site, as the majority of AQ is trying to push in through Laundry. Gasher up above is the only other dimension. He gets one kill onto Joel, but Med keeps it close. Memorial is completely uncontested by the attack, and that's exactly where Brack and Med are trying to hold this crossfire and to stop Aqualix from moving into the site. Slime catches one looking the opposite way, but misses his opportunity, but as Brack goes down, it's all left up to Hitman. Slime might not have finished him off, but he's got to be the one to cover Rice, putting the bomb on the floor, and he sees it. His head's around the corner. He gets the shot in time, but AQ still win. Gasher with the saving grace, and same with Slime as well. Downing one, finishing off the other. They'll put the Heist a bit further towards the ground.
And for Aqualix, thankfully they understood we cannot just forget about Memorial. We have to have that last second flank to have that pincer and complete collapse on those two defenders trying to stop the plant from going down. And that almost became the final nail in the coffin there for Aqualix, but thankfully enough, the wallbang was sufficient and there was really no coverage for that lone defender in the 1 versus 2. So a big sigh of relief for Aqualix as they are still going to have the round advantage, but the Heist, man, they have been able to show a lot of upset rounds and really make this a close best of 1, Carter.
They've been able to survive on their defenses, and that was the worry. After those attacks, which, again, were very narrowly, had they not taken that timeout and maybe gotten the lucky moments or made the improvements that they did, could very well be a match that's over and done with if Aqualix were able to get 6-0 on their defenses, which after those first 3 rounds seemed like that's where we might be going. They haven't done that. They've managed to stay alive and put up some pretty convincing showings on the defense, especially Aviator games, where their offsite pressure seemed to do enough in the early round to give Aqualix some cause for concern, with Med playing down below, taking down Slime the moment the Twitch entered the building. That set the pace for Aqualix to be worried as they continued moving through the rest of the map. Got the same thing here. Med down below and 2 players over in Trophy Statuary. for Aqualix are spawning, well, going over by main stairs this time.
Still having any pressure stacked up near trophy and statuary, though. But if they need a fallback, they most certainly can do that and probably hold those main areas of 90 corner, for example. And you could even play near the red stairwell, the top of it, next to Skull Doorway, to also have a nice little long angle to stop anyone from pushing inside of study. So at any given moment, Aqualix, they cannot just focus on one part of the map and that's it. They need to have a handful of attackers try to move around, especially after they clear out this main stairs position, which they do almost immediately. Afer with 2 big ones. Jolteon may at least get some sort of trade, but the damage has most certainly already been done by the Finka of Afer.
Cutting his losses and just going huge at that point, taking a page out of the Heist book from their attack, where we saw Braxton just storm up those main stairs or get the kills all in that area. Afer does his own with an Adrenal Surge and the LMG. There is still some good things for the Heist. They spot some players over by books, some active intel on both the Gemini Replicator and the Yana herself playing over in that area. That might actually be Afer, on that Finka. Still trying to do a little bit of damage to the intel that the Heist have going for them. The Panic's in a tricky situation right now. He's got 90, which is a very important angle to hold, especially if you want to put pressure on books. But with Rice close by, he's got to be careful.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
And even more, once again, has somebody go around. Beautiful shot by Afer. Will eventually fall by Jolteon, but still, 3 kills, the man advantage in the favor of Aqualix, and what Panic, basically by himself and not able to help out with the site pressure. If we have that acknowledged by Aqualix, they could fully rotate and just single out Jolt, and that would allow a 1vx in the middle of the bomb site, allow a plan to go down, and force Panic to retake in a dire position.
Even with that C4, but he goes for a retake and study. They still have that intel, but he whiffs his opportunity. That was it. That was the shot right there, but now it's on Panic. The burden's so heavy, he crumbles underneath it. Match point for AQ, as it seemed to start out okay with those kills achieved by Afer, but after that, just the momentary spark of hope was not enough for Heist to stop match point.
And we really only had Jolt able to do anything to slow down Aqualix there. It appeared that we just did not have a single care in the world by Afer. He completely ignored the toxic canister and the position on main, but the fact that we did not really have a lot of util or even that, a quick fallback done by the defense, that was something that really did spell defeat for them, and Afer was able to capitalize off that almost immediately. Just rushed at them with the LMG, such a strong gun put in the right hands, and Afer just, he opened up so much for his team, finding that 3K, and again, there was little response by the Heist, as they just were no longer in a good position to slow down Aqualix after they lost those first 2 kills.
Potentially final round between the Heist and AQ right now. Again, I gotta commend the Heist for keeping it close so far. Again, able to win out those 2 defenses, and it's not all said and done just yet. They had another good showing on Trophy, as well as their previous Aviator Games defense. We'll have to see what Aqualix opt to go for moving forward. Psycho might be sticking that IQ, so they might not be able to rely on those black eye cameras persisting for as long as they did before. Something they'll need to consider. Aqualix, like many teams, getting stuck on that triple panel, struggling to move in, and also losing a lot of bodies early on. See if the roam can work for the Heist this time, or if AQ are wise to their tricks, just like they were with that main stairs defense.
So far, they've been able to counter aggression with just even better aggression and still having a bunch of information to relay off of, been constantly bringing out the Ayana, similar to what the Heist did on their attacks, and also just having a lot of strong weaponry. Again, Afer last round with that LMG, just letting it sing, found him so much damage, and again, just put the Heist in a losing position before they even thought they were able to find some sort of opening kill. We've got Braxton trying to get aggressive to maybe slow down Psychosis' map extension, but that's not going to favor any side just yet. But now having the acknowledgement that we want to have this middle floor position held as long as possible for the Heist, the Aqualix can now play around that and maybe hold multiple angles from both Pantry and Laundry to get rid of this player of the Mew.
Got some support. Somebody moving down Brown. That's Hitman. The VIP for the Heist yesterday that was putting in the work for his team. Spotted by a drone, spots the head of one, but it's Psycho who Brack tried to deal with early on, who not only gets 1, but alongside Slime, they get 2 on the roam. Make that 3 as Afer cuts down Med, Panic, and the Maestro. Next to him, Jolteon. Yeah, they're the only 2 left. If we thought this could be a close one at 4-4, the round might not, we might not even get past a minute if AQ are looking to finish this one quick.
A bomb has been located.
Leaving it all up to Panic and Jolt here. not in that great of a position. We've got Jolt getting aggressive, and his position now known, so he'll have to reposition, spots out one near closet. That's case drop, but it can be easily recovered. Nothing much to really harp on just yet, but at least something has been found for the Heist, and it's not a 1 versus 5. That would have been an even worse position, obviously, for the Heist to make sure they do not get taken out of Villa.
One more kill. That's what we need to see here. If Jolt is able to survive in this area for just a little bit longer, we've got a fighting chance. As long as it's a 2v4, Aqualix can play those trades, but this is still a team. In their chaos, they can still tumble. Even in a 3v2 with man advantage, we've seen them falter with better odds. They need one pick. The Heist just need one gunfight to give. Everyone from AQ, aside from one, is pushing up Astro, or pushing into Astro from Bathroom. Jolt has a nice angle looking through that unreinforced wall, but as Psycho moves up, the C4 flies over. All it does is a little bit of damage, but that's it. That's what we needed to see from Jolt, but Slime could shut down their hopes. He's got a 3K so far, but only 1 HP. They know he's in this area. Afer flicks and shuts it down. 7-4 for AQ. A better performance than yesterday, but still more to be desired if the Heist start to compete in CL.
And the one thing to really bring them out of the match with a loss is unfortunately that team play. In comparison to Aqualix, we saw a complete revision of how they wanted to attack that middle floor in the last few moments, at least the beginning of that round, I should say. And that completely suffocated both Braxton and Hitman, who were really not in a position to fall back. They had to play there to die, and they just, again, they weren't in as good of a position in comparison to Aqualix to actually win those fights. So a fantastic way for Aqualix to put themselves in an early man advantage on that final round, just to guarantee they're not going to have to deal with overtime against the Heist, Carter.
And the nice thing that the Heist can at least take away going forward, a much closer scoreline than yesterday. 7-4 against AQ, who looked very good yesterday as well, and still very solid today, especially from Afer on Finka and Valkyrie. There's still hope for them going forward. Can they take that and run away with it and get some wins next week or in future games? Maybe the desk will have some insight onto that. But as for today, they'll just have to take the L and move on.
We did get the expected result of AQ taking the victory over the Heist, Connor, but it was a lot closer than we thought it was going to be. I need you to make it make sense for me.
Yeah, overall, the way the Aqualix played was read into properly by the Heist. There was a lot of direct takes and a lot of a simple game that I really thought Aqualix would have been able to just body out the Heist, but when it came just down to gunfights in the simplified game, the Heist held their own. And like we were saying earlier, with Hitman absolutely popping off yesterday, and we need other people to help them, to help Hitman, everybody else stepped up except Hitman didn't. And it makes you think and makes you wonder that maybe, just maybe, if Hitman put up a similar performance to what we saw yesterday, the result might have been flipped.
Well, how much, Parker, was this match due to the fact of AQ making some mistakes, or was this growth that we saw on the side of the Heist?
I think it was growth, right? I mean, the Heist come in with the roster. It's a new roster. You're going to hear us talk about at least half of these teams and how they're new rosters. So, well, you got to figure out a map pool. You got to figure out exactly how your strategies are going to work, who's going to be on what roles, etc. When we're looking specifically at Hitman, by the way, on the Heist, Hitman had a good first half. I think he went 3-5 or something like that in the first 6 rounds. And then he only got 2 kills after that. So significantly better on attack with the rest of the team. And I honestly think that was the big difference maker, is that when we saw the Heist go on to defense, everything kind of just fell apart. They had a good effort at the beginning, but then that was all she wrote, which is a bit odd because usually newer teams tend to struggle on attack, not necessarily on defense. Like a team struggling on defense on Villa is very abnormal. And that's when I kind of tip my hat and give like a little bit of a nod to Aqualix, because for them to be able to come on to attack on a map where usually you're at a disadvantage and clean up as well as they did, that's good for them. Here are the stats for you, by the way. CDAPS, I don't know if you want to take me through these because I just went on a bit of a monologue here, but there's a lot to break down.
Yeah, a lot of early round dominance once again from Aqualix. That's what we would expect. But once again, those first 2 defensive rounds for the Heist were a little bit worrying because their anchoring play was so strong that Aqualix got a little bit ahead of themselves. They didn't have all their T's crossed and their I's dotted when they went for the execute. They ultimately fell apart. And once again, for the side of Heist, Braxton was doing work. A lot of utility kills actually coming out for him. Lots of nades, lots of nitros, and finding ways to kind of bypass the gunfights against a team that's so mechanically gifted like Aqualix was actually a really good shout.
We do have the interview ready. It's going to be Gasher once again. This is 2 days in a row now. We'll ask him a few questions about how he felt his team performed today. Gasher, we are 2 for 2 so far. We meet again. How did you feel about your team's performance today?
We played kind of mid. I mean, D's were like alright in the beginning. I got naded for like every round. They're not very acceptable for me. Attacks were like alright. Beginning was kind of bad, but then we just kind of realized like these guys are actually scared to peek us. Like they had complete under control and they would like 4-man sight. So we just kind of knew, okay, let's just like take the under control, just run at them. And so it happened. Like every single time we got a gunfight, I think we won it. I mean, there's a reason they didn't ace at the 4. They couldn't just compete with us like with gunfights. So I mean, I understand it, but yeah, it felt good, I guess.
Now, Afer himself, he had a great game today. What does Afer do for a team like Aqualix?
I mean, Afer just kills people. Like, it's just another way to put it. I mean, he's just running at them, peeking them, and they just, like I said, they simply cannot compete with him. So he wins every gunfight. That's kind of it.
Now, you're coming out of this first play weekend 2-0. Obviously, that's good. What kind of grade would you give your team at this point, and what are some of the things you want to look for moving forward?
I mean, I guess like a B+. Today could have been better. I think today was just kind of rough because it's like when you play a team like that, like they know they're not like supposed to win, so like they just do it, like they can just play whatever they want. Like it's obviously harder for us to kind of win, be more pressure. They can just play freely and do more stuff. I mean, there's a lot of positives coming out this weekend, so we're just gonna take it and move forward. Yeah, I got to play better. I think when I start playing better, we will just dominate.
Well, I appreciate your time, Gasher, and congratulations again. And yeah, you've got a long stage ahead.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Yeah, 2-0, Parker. You can't complain with that. So just before we flip to a quick break, your thoughts on the performance, the match so far, because you know what? We may have gotten more out of this than we thought we would.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot closer than I think either of CDAPS or I thought, and Jim, you too. I'm guessing that while we thought that Aqualix was going to walk away with the win, you know, the expectations for the heist after yesterday were, well, let's just put it this way. As my great grandfather used to say, you can't jump out of a basement window. So I don't know if you could have gone much lower, but at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily fair for us to write off a team after just 1 or 2 play days. There's a lot of time left, not just in this stage, but also this year. A team like the Heist, who come in under the circumstances that they came in under, they've got a lot to prove, not just to the people who are watching, but also to themselves. And they put in a much better performance today. And while it was Aqualix who walked away with the victory, the Heist actually, they impressed me a little bit more than AQ did.
And I like that point that you made, because as much as in the same way we've made changes that there's into Group A and Group B, the stages themselves don't have that hard divider in quite the way that they did last year. So it will be interesting to see the way that they progress as the year moves along. But we will flip to a quick break right now. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's Took the Kids versus LSR. We're finally going to get to see them. We'll see you everyone in a few minutes.